So in this video I want to show you how to draw a ray diagram to show how images are formed on a plane mirror. Let's assume that this line that I've drawn is actually a plane mirror, and this is the back of my mirror that I do have. So this is a plane mirror that I do have. Then I've got an object, so this is representing an object. Now what you need to realize is that they may give you the distance from here to there. Even if they don't give you, they'll give you the distance from the mirror to there. In this case I used 4 centimeters, so that's the distance that I used. Sorry, I used 6 centimeters there. So it simply means that you need to trace it also. The image will be formed behind the mirror, so you also measure, in this case 6 centimeters from the mirror. So from here to there, the distance is 6 centimeters. So measure again from the mirror to that side, 6 centimeters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So meaning that my image will be there. Then you can also trace the height. In this case, the height that I used was actually 4 centimeters. So meaning from here to there, it will still be 4 centimeters. So that's the way it is going to be. So you need to trace first of all by finding the image. So what I mean is that the distance from the mirror to where the object is the same as the distance from the mirror to where the image is. So first of all, you need to find the image. Now you notice this, that when I draw a line joining, if you were to draw a line joining the object and the image, they should be exactly, nothing should be different. That's one thing that I want you to notice. So the height of the object is the same as the height of the image. Yeah, so when they give you the object, first of all you need to locate, in this case, the image. So the distance from here to there, the distance of the image from the mirror is the same as the distance from the mirror to the object. So it is equal to DO, the distance of the object. Now let's assume that I've got the eye looking, because I'm looking at the image there that is formed in the mirror in this case. So I can put up the position of my eye. I can represent it like that. So let me say this is my eye position. You can put it anywhere. So how do you go about drawing the diagram to show how a reflection is going to take place? So for one thing, you can use either this side or that side of the eye. For example, if I use, let me say I use this one, perhaps I'm looking at this point, the topmost point of the object. It simply means you start from the image. Behind the image, remember, it's not real, so you use dotted lines. Then in front you can use solid lines. So you can see the arrow is coming to your eye, the rays are coming to your eye. Then from the same point on the image that you used, you're actually joining it to the mirror here where it meets the mirror. So that is what we mean there. So it's like the ray was coming from the object, it bounces off and comes to your eye. That's the way you draw it. I want to use a different marker now so that you are able to see it. I'll use a black this time, but I'll use this other side of the eye. Again, you start from the image. Please, it must be straight, not where students actually bend it. No, use a rule to do that. Remember, in front, it's a solid line. Then behind, you simply need to use dotted line, because it's not true that it's behind. Then where this line is actually meeting or cutting the mirror, you take it to the same point that you are looking at. So you take it to that point that you are looking at, and the ray should come from that point. It bounces off and comes to your eye there. So this is the way we actually draw a ray diagram to show how the image is actually formed. So the key point, you need to first of all locate the image. The distance from the mirror to where the object is, it should be the same distance from the mirror to where the image is. The height should be the same as the height of the image. That's the key. And if you can put your eye below, you start with that and you trace it the way we have done. So now, what are the characteristics, or what are the properties of the image that is formed, properties of the image that is formed on the plane mirror? So one, we can simply say that the image is virtual. So we can simply say that the image is virtual. What do I mean when I say it is virtual? It simply means that it is not it is actually not real. So that is what we mean when we say it is not virtual, because it cannot be formed on the screen. It seems to be formed behind the screen, which is not real. Then two, we can simply say that it is literally, so we can simply say that it is literally inverted. So it is literally inverted. Now what do I mean when I say it is actually literally inverted? Well, we mean, left appears right, and right appears left. So that's the idea that you have. And if you go in your mirror, you lift up your left hand, it will appear as if you have lifted your right hand. If you lift your right hand, it will appear as if you have lifted your left hand. So we use the word literally inverted. So that is what we mean. In other words, it's reversed in terms of left or right. That is what you need to remember. The other characteristics that I can simply put up, or properties of the image formed in a plane mirror, is that should be number 3. We can simply say that the image is erect. So the image is erect. What do I mean when I say the image is erect? Well, that simply means it is upright. In other words, it is the right way up. That's what we mean. You can see where my arrow is pointing up. It is exactly where that arrow is also pointing. So it is actually upright. Another property that we can talk about, we can simply say, same size. It is same size as the object. It's another property. Maybe the 5th one that I can put up, I can simply say, same distance as the object from the mirror line. So these are characteristic of the image formed on a plane mirror that you need to remember. Of course, they are going to ask you to complete such a ray diagram. There could be a lot of ray diagrams that they are going to ask you, and they can come in various formats. Sometimes we can just give you a point and we can tell you complete the ray diagram. It is actually possible to do that. For example, let me just conclude by looking at something there. Let's say that this is the mirror that we do have there. It doesn't matter. Then they may give you maybe something that looks like a triangle. Let me just assume they give you something that looks like a triangle. Measure the distance from here to there. It should be the same. You trace it, but of course remember, left will appear to be right. The height is simply going to be the same. So if this is the object, then that is going to be the image. It doesn't mean that you have to look at the entire object. No. When you're drawing a ray diagram, you can just look at one point. For example, I'll use this point there. It simply means that I'll start from the image there, looking at that same point. Remember, in front a solid line, behind a dotted line. Then from the point where it is meeting, cutting the mirror, take it to the point that you are looking at. So meaning that the ray will come in that direction. If I was using the other side of the eye, again this other side, again in front solid, behind dotted. Then where it is cutting the mirror, take it to the same point that you are looking at, and this is the way it is going to be. So you can see that the law of reflection does still apply. So this is the way you can do it. Please, you need to practice. If you want, you can comment, you can write in my comment section, then I'll be able to help you even using a graph. Thank you so much for watching.